Bob, I don't want us to rush to any conclusions about him. I'm hoping that, he had some cardiac problems, as I recall, and maybe some unforeseen accident happened here. What are your thoughts?
I just know you're swimming at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
Yeah.
And I just love the guy. He was so different than what you thought he was like.
Yeah.
Just so gentle and sweet and kind. And he saved me that time. I was in the lake, remember that?
Oh, you tipped your boat over.
Right.
Yeah.
My boat over.
Right.
And I was just like, that guy can swim, and that guy can pull me out, fully clothed out of the lake. So I'm just really wondering what went on here.
Well, here's what concerns me. You, when you last sat on this set, said we're not done yet losing people to pills. And when my patients today die of pills, addicts, particularly people that I treated sometime in the past and haven't seen them, professionally in recent years, they get wound up in pills somehow. And when they die young, I always worry that's the case.
What scared me is that he said psychiatrists. I'm seeing a lot of psychiatrists. But it just let's mourn his passing. He was a sweet, gentle soul.
Yeah.
But it is, alcoholism to me, swimming at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Jennifer, what do you think?
I agree with Bob. I would go swimming with him every day at the sober house, and then we went surfing and stuff, and he loved swimming. And just to have fallen in and died that way is just, it's so odd. It doesn't make sense. And, not only was he a historic figure, but I remember him as a gentle person, like Bob was saying, a kind person, and a man that was suffering from a disease and had a lot of issues to deal with. And I don't know if he dealt with them or not.
What's weird is people believe, even my stage manager, Dave, he believed that the night he was beaten, he was on PCP. That you were seeing somebody he was drinking that night, I believe, drunk, but he was not on PCP. He was just trying to get away, run for his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he, drinking, I went through it with him 100 different ways. Drinking is always the downfall, every which way when he looked at his life. He didn't like the position. Sometimes he had difficulty with the position he was in. He used to say, there's no roadmap to being me. You know what I mean? He would go to 12-step meetings, and then people have an immediate opinion about he's either a hero or a villain.
Wow.
Or, and so there was no roadmap for him. I remember he used to say, Steven's got all of you guys, meaning sober musicians. And so there was that weird place in history that Rodney King was in.
Let's take some calls. Let's go to Deborah. She is in Florida. Deborah, you got a question for us?
Yes, good evening, Dr. Drew.
Good evening.
When I heard this, the very first thought that came to me was the sober house. And I want to believe in my heart, for as many that you reach out to, that you did touch his life, and it did make a difference. And I really have my condolences go out to the families and all those who are participating with you, that I believe something good became of this somehow.
Well, thank you for saying so. What do you guys think?
I know after, when the show was ending, he wanted to open a sober living
I remember that.
on his own. He really wanted it. I saw him, after the show ended, we had talked, and I had seen him at a meeting, and, he really wanted this, and he was trying it. And did it plant a seed? Absolutely. I remember Rodney was the one who came to PRC and knocking at PRC door asking to be on the show. He really wanted it, and there was a change, There was that moment that I remember that he was sober and in recovery and really was looking forward to his new life.
I want to go to Stephanie in Alabama. Do we have that call lined up? Stephanie? Stephanie.
Good evening, Dr. Drew.
Hey there.
And good evening to your guests as well.
Thank you.
My question is I've seen the pictures of when Rodney was beaten in L.A., and my question was he ever checked since then for traumatic brain injury, and could that have had something to do with his behaviors and affecting his recovery with his addiction?
It's a great question. Remember, we've had lots of conversations about this, and some of the professionals, some of the specialists that saw him did have grave concerns about that, you remember?
Yeah, and the idea is, what addicts do is they don't want the solution to their problems because it's scary and different, and change is scary and different. Yeah. So where is the thing that causes that? I always believe it's the disease of addiction.
Yeah. But
you go into
well, if you've got hit over the head many, many times, it may be difficult to contain impulses and to have good judgment and to follow the direction of people. Let's go out to Pam in Indiana. Pam? Hi, Pam.
Hi, Dr. Drew. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for calling.
Dr. Drew, I have watched you for years, and I so admire your compassion and your loyalty to your patients. And I'm just wondering tonight how you must feel. We learned about Rodney and who he was, and we appreciated him, and how must you feel this evening?
Well, Pam, thank you for asking. You know what happens to me when my patients die? The first thing that happens, I feel angry because I know it didn't have to happen. And that's my initial reaction, and I'm sort of in that stage right now with it. After the anger passes, then the sadness kicks in. And the sadness right now for me, I got to know, and you remember his daughters and his mom.
Yeah, that's what I thought of, yeah.
I feel so devastated for them. They can't get their head around this. And so strangely, I'm sort of feeling their pain, and I'm feeling my anger. And until I know what happened here, I can't get on with the grieving. I just can't get on with it. So that's sort of where I'm at, kind of in a stuck place. How do you feel, Jennifer?
I'm angry. I'm angry at the disease because it won this time. And, yeah, and I feel so bad for his family. You know, his daughters are so beautiful, and he was so beautiful, and he shared so many things with us, you know, that people did not get to see on TV, you know, due to editing or whatnot. But, you know, he had a painful childhood, too, you know, and I go, God, that poor guy and his poor family. And I'm really angry at the disease.
And let's remember the one thing he talked about his dad in that little piece of tape we just saw. He always said, I don't want to die young like my dad.
I know.
It's just